Do you have that all or nothing mindset? In this episode, we'll explore why daily actions have the power to create massive transformation over time, how consistency leads to results, and why you don't need to be perfect or do everything all at once. Let's break down the all or nothing mindset and show how small steps can lead to big wins. So, when you're ready, grab a cup of coffee and come get uncomfortable with me. Hey, welcome to the My Inner Struggle podcast. I'm your host, Laura Ferry. Really happy that you're here with us this week, if I can speak. We're talking all about these small daily actions, or I like to refer to some of them as tiny daily habits that we frequently have that lead up to big actionable change. And we talk about this so much in the Self-Love Club, and then we'll be going through that in my new course that I'm offering, 5 weeks to kind of get your shit together. And it's all about those daily habits. Those daily habits lead to big action. So it's either bringing you closer to your goals or further away from your goals. So you have to consider that. Small actions can seem insignificant in the moment, but they all add up to like big change. Think about that, just the erosion, say, of the beach, the waves kind of crashing against the sand, and slowly it like pulls it away over time, but you don't notice it immediately. It's something that happens over time. A few minutes of exercise, a few minutes of reading, reading a few pages in a book each day, a couple of emails each day. I have some kind of massive inboxes on my personal email, and it's mostly like junk, and it just collects and collects and collects. But I've been trying to tackle that each week and spend half an hour or something trying to catch up on that. And then also targeting those as they come in as well, just to kind of like bear down on that stuff and get rid of it. Or you think about it like the interest building up in a savings account. It's probably not a whole lot, depending on how much money you have in there right now. But I can remember thinking about that when I was a kid and I had one of those youth savings accounts, and I'd be so excited because at the end of the month I might get like, I don't know, $1.45 or something like that. It was kind of crazy, but it adds up. It does add up when you put your change in a change jar each day, or you're just accumulating small amounts of something that add up to something. It really makes a difference. It gets compounded, and you have the compound effect of whatever it is that you're doing to get to your result. So this could be as simple as we did this several months ago in the Self-Love Club, making your bed every day. That is one of the best things that you can do for yourself. And it seems so silly because people are like, it's making my bed every day. What does that have to do with anything? But it kind of has everything to do with everything. And I can't even remember where I originally heard it from first. But when you wake up and you make your bed in the morning, that is one task that's already done. And now you can jump off of that success and keep moving. And it might seem silly, but at the end of the day, when you come back, your bed is all made for you. And you don't have to worry about if, the dog was burrowing inside of it or whatever. And that is like my thing. I wake up and I make my bed every day. And so we were taking actionable change within the Self-Love Club on those tiny daily habits to do so. And those of us that have consistently done that notice that we've made it a habit and it's stuck, and we feel good about that. And also other things too. Our miracle morning we've talked about, our morning routines, whether, all of us have a different version of what that might look like, whether you're working out or you're reading something or you're writing, journaling, or doing all of the above. So all of those habits add up to big change in the end. So you have to kind of look in the rear view for a minute and then keep moving forward. Apparently I can't talk today, but we'll keep rolling. So I'm offering a course. You can find it at myinnerstruggle.com. It's a 5-week course on kind of getting your life together. So check it out and see if that's something that might interest you. I'm super excited about it. Getting habits together and organizing people is like my zone of genius. that is where I shine without a doubt, and getting people motivated to do so. And I'm just kind of, figuring this out, but you land where you're supposed to be and it feels really, really good because that is something that I'm really good at. Um, if you if you have known anyone that's been successful, they will attribute it to certain things in their life that have made a difference. And one commonality among all of those things are those things that they do every single day. If you want to have a clear goal on your savings, say that you're trying to save for something or reach a savings goal that would make you feel comfortable having that money in the bank account, staying consistent with that is something that is really important, right? We can't just go on this roller coaster and expect to get that end result. If you're consistently saving each day and staying on top of your money each day, which is something that I advise all small business owners and all people to know, how much money you have, where's it going, so that you can be in control of it. Even on the weeks that, I'm building my business, I'm still repairing things from, starting that and taking a leap of faith. But even on the weeks that I might, be a little tight or something, I can anticipate that and I know what to expect. You should always be keeping an eye on that and staying consistent with getting to those savings goals, and knowledge is the first step. Once you have the knowledge, you can manage whatever it is. So one of the things that I've been doing lately is actually, I think I started it about 6 weeks ago. It was the thick of winter and I was really cold, but I was feeling trapped inside. I decided one day that I was like, you know what? Anxiety is not something that I get very often anymore, which is kind of funny because I felt like I spent a good 10 or 15 years like in constant anxiety. And so now when it happens, I know that I'm like, okay, what is this? Why am I feeling this way? And I can kind of work around it. But one of the best things that you can do when you get anxious is to move your body. Move that energy out wherever it needs to go. So if you're stuck and you can't move it, you're at your desk or whatever, go, like walk around the office or do some squats. Or my therapist at the time years ago would say, if you can run, do some sprinting or something like that, just kind of move the energy out of you. So it was about 6 weeks ago and I was feeling a little angsty on a Monday morning, trying to figure out my footing. And I'm like, I need to just get out. But I was feeling really trapped because it was so cold, and letting go of that. Okay, I can bundle up. It is what it is. It's just winter. So what if I'm cold for a little bit? And I just started walking outside in nature because I needed to get outside. I needed a different scenery around me. So I started walking, and I refer to it as my winter walks. And I've been doing that for about 6 weeks consistently every single day. And what was hard was overcoming that all or nothing mindset. I wanted to exercise, yes. But it was more for my mental health than anything, because I needed to be out in nature, and I love walking in the woods. It's one of my favorite things to do. And walking seemed like so, I don't know, I would judge it. I was counterproductive. I had worked with a trainer years ago that said, you've been walking since you were 2, you should be running. And just kind of not there physically at that point with myself. And I got over that. And I'm like, screw this. I can take a walk and it's just as good exercise for me. And it's mentally good. And until I get there, it's not all or nothing. I don't have to, run if I can't run yet. Let's take this step in the right direction. So letting go of that all or nothing mindset was crucial. And then also being consistent on this winter walk. And now I'm walking longer than I ever have before. And then just yesterday, as I was on my way back from the trail, I was like, I could build on this. I could park at the other end of that trail, come down, loop around, come back and go back. And I could really build on that. So I'm really excited for that. And to lengthen that, and the amount of time that I get to spend in nature every day is really neat. So when we fall into that all or nothing mindset, there's the idea that unless you can do something perfectly or go all in or go hard at it or whatever, it's not worth doing at all. And that's where I got trapped in that feeling of like, well, if I'm not running, why should I even bother? I'm not physically fit enough to do the things that I used to do. But fuck it. Why am I even going to bother? Which is so bad. And it took just kind of some mind work to sort of get through that and go, you know what? No, this is good. And now I look forward to it. And on the days that I'm like, ugh, I really don't feel like it, those are the days that you have to push yourself to just even do that little thing to stay consistent. Even if it can't be as long as what you normally do, that little bit will make a difference. And then you're going to feel better, I promise you, after you do the thing that it is that you're meant to do. When we start a new habit or goal, it's easy to think, if I don't do it perfectly, I've failed. Let go of that mindset. We don't want to lead to burnout either. And I've had so many friends, even myself too, you start like some sort of crazy exercise regimen or diet or something like that and just go balls to the walls. And sometimes that's not the best option. I've talked about too, like reframing my mindset about food and things in the last year and a half. And just being consistent with that, I was able to accomplish big things. And it took a long time and it came off very slowly, but I was able to accomplish losing over 40 pounds. And I'm still continuing on that journey, but it's really just healing that relationship with food and not judging myself so harshly. I still want to live a beautiful life and experience new and delicious things, but I don't have to beat myself up every time I have something that I'd like to. And I go into that a lot in my book as well. I just published a book. It's called Is It an Open Bar? And it's available on myinnerstruggle.com, as well as you can check out the course there as well. And the Self-Love Club for monthly accountability. So reframing your mindset about food, about exercise, about the amount of hours that you're working, about taking a break, about all of those things that you need to get yourself back into the power of a daily habit are really important, because everything starts up here. It doesn't matter what it is. Everything starts with your mind, and what we're feeding it, telling it, giving it is really, really important. So the all or nothing mindset. So we really want to work hard to kind of let that go and just give ourselves some grace and some props for doing those tiny things every day. Let's talk about something that I want to read you. It's from The Power of Small Habits in Fitness. So if you take someone like Tommy Caldwell, the climber who became one of the best in the world, he didn't climb a mountain overnight. He spent years training, building his strength little by little. Over time, his consistent effort allowed him to complete the impossible, like climbing El Capitan without ropes. He didn't just wake up one day and achieve it. It was the result of tiny, consistent steps forward to a big goal. So we know that, right? We have to, I've used the analogy of when I decided to run my first half marathon. That was a big undertaking. I kind of just haphazardly was like, I'm going to do this. And I gave myself enough time to train. And it's really like breaking that down. And I think a race is a really good thing to use as an example, because it's something that you really do have to put the effort in every single day to achieve, and everything else we should picture the same way. Another great example of is the world of personal finance. So when we're talking about someone who puts away $5 a day into a retirement account for years and years, and they could wind up with this sizable like nest egg. But it's all because of you were consistently doing it, not like when I can or large sums here or whatever. And that works eventually in the end. But when you're consistent, you can rely on everything else around you as well. So if you're banking on something to work out in order to get that money in there, is what I mean, rather than just consistently doing $5 a day or whatever it is that you want to put away, those add up to big things. So let's talk about building consistency in your own life. how can we start building consistency that we can start noticing a difference eventually? I want you to think about your goals, what it is that you want to achieve. And if you're not sure, or if you cannot put it into words yet, shoot me a message and let me help you work on your goals. There's a lot of clients that I work with individually on a one-on-one basis. And sometimes we just need like a refresher or a point in the right direction so that we know we're heading in the right direction. So we want to focus on the process rather than that big mountain, right? We have this goal in mind, and then we need to break it down into smaller steps so that we can achieve that. We don't aim for perfection. We aim for consistency, even if it's just a little bit. If we use that savings analogy of $5 a day, and one day you wake up and you only have $1 to put away, put the dollar away. That's okay. And then keep moving. And then the next day you put away your $5 again, or however that works. If you can't run or jog, walk. That's okay. Just remain consistent and keep building on that momentum. Building routines that make consistency easier is the way to go. So I am a strong believer in your daily routines, in your morning routines specifically, because the morning really sets the tone for your entire day. And I talk about it over and over and over again because I really, really believe in that. And I really believe that it sets the tone for my entire day and helps my productivity skyrocket. Honestly, there are a lot of things that I'm doing right now, and I do have help, but I'm still responsible for a lot of tasks on a weekly basis. And if I'm not consistent with those things, everything can fall apart. So we have to think about that. Create a routine or a system. I listen to a lot of business podcasts when I'm walking in the woods or working, and there's so much talk about systems and having systems in place. And it's really interesting, depending on the industry, what systems that they're talking about. So if we have a system in place, say, okay, I'm a mom, I've got 3 kids. We have systems in place all morning, basically all the time. And, they're at school now, they're older. So they're at school during the day, but we have like our morning routine that we do. And we have a system in place, and that my daughter comes home from school. She takes out her lunchbox, she puts it on the counter, she empties out, she takes out her water bottle. Those are all like kind of systems and routines that we have in place that keep the ball rolling. Her responsibility is to empty the dishwasher every day. And every day I ask, and she goes, oh, but I always have to do it. I'm like, well, that's your job, so that we can keep everything flowing so that I can load it while I'm making dinner, and we don't wind up with this big mess. So it's about being consistent and really developing those routines so that we help ourselves each day. And if you are at the point right now, I'm just going to say this, as a mom, a working mom, a stay-at-home mom, or whatever, that you feel buried or stuck. I understand. I've been there too. We have to kind of make moves on those things consistently as well. And I always call it like getting to maintenance. So we might have to go a little bit harder on some days to kind of get ahead. But then getting yourself to like a maintenance system is where ideally you would want to be. A year ago, I would say I was not even I wasn't even close to where I am now as far as like routines go and handling all of the things. I would often go to bed with dishes in the sink and wake up and wish that I had done them the night before, but I couldn't get out of my own way. I was sort of like stuck in this cycle of coming downstairs in the morning and sitting at my desk and just diving into work. And I had no routine. And honestly, reading The Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod really opened my eyes to a lot of things. And it gave me something to check off of a list each day. And it sort of morphed into this other beautiful routine that I have. And that really changed things for me. It changed my outlook, and it changed it into much more bite-sized pieces that I could handle, basically. Looking at the whole thing made me feel a little overwhelmed. But when you are consistent with those daily habits, it makes a big difference. So now it's very rare. There might be dishes in the sink when I go to bed because the dishwasher is already full and running and whatever, and I'm choosing to leave them there. for the next cycle because I want to spend time with my kids. And that's okay. That's my choice. But all of the other things that are surrounding it are no longer there. I'm prepping my coffee for the night before so that I can just come down the stairs and hit the button. And then I can go upstairs and do my meditation, my affirmations, my visualization. And then I come downstairs, grab my coffee, and I'm journaling and I'm reading. And if you had said this to me 5 years ago, let alone a year ago, that I was doing these things every day, I would have thought you were nuts, quite honestly. But I can't believe how much my life has changed by incorporating these things into my daily day and how much more I'm getting done. And I know it's not all about it's, people sometimes get offended on the internet about, I talk about your productivity and they're like, it's not all about that. It's about resting too. And yes, I 1,000,000% agree with you, because that's important. Your rest is important. And I've learned now to rest, not to quit, and to not go so hard all week that I need to crash all day in bed. Because years ago, that's what I was doing. I would go, 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 and then not be able to function on a Saturday because I was so exhausted from going and going and going for weeks prior. But when you have a lot of things that you're responsible for, you do have to be productive. You have to keep going. But there are so many things within that. I delegate a lot more now than I ever have before, whether it's to my kids, with things around the house, or to my employees, so that I'm not responsible for that. And that takes some getting used to. I've been working for small business owners for a really long time, and I still do small business consulting in finance mainly and operations. And when I'm helping these small business owners, they all have this, depending on the size of their company, of course, but they all have this kind of commonality. And initially it's like, well, it's easier if I just do it myself. Okay, I understand that. And I've been guilty of that a little bit myself. But when working with Stacy, who works for me, I thought about it, and part of it didn't even dawn on me to hand this off to her, just because I was like, oh yeah, that's a good idea. I had to think about that. Not that I didn't want to delegate it. I wanted to hand it over to her because I can trust her to do it. Not everyone is in that position. There are so many solopreneurs that exist. And I forget I just heard this the other day, and I feel like it was 28% of all business owners are solopreneurs. And that meaning going down that road that they're not getting out of their own way. They're not going to get to the next level if they don't start delegating some of the responsibility so they can actually grow the business. And so speaking with, small business owners, they're like, well, I really wish I didn't have to do this, but it is what it is, because it's going to take too long to tell somebody how to figure it out. And then they're going to need me. But really, honestly, and I say it to them all the time, I'm like, if you just got out of your own way, like your whole day could be different. You wouldn't have to be the one doing all of the work and then doing all the invoicing and then doing all the reaching out and doing all the admin work. That's silly. Why would you ever keep that on yourself? And so I'm sort of at the transition where I'm ready to hand more and more things off, and I'm super excited about that. But consistently, if you are the one doing all of the things when you're trying to build a business, you're not going to get anywhere because you're doing all of the things. It's going to hurt a little bit in the beginning when you have to explain all of the things to someone that you trust, that you've hired to get ahead. It's going to be a pain in the ass. That's going to suck for a little bit. They're going to ask you questions. You're going to have to hold their hand for a little bit. But once you get over that hump, it's like, it's going to be like clear skies. Keep going, and then they'll know. And as they keep getting their feet wet and they know more and more about your business and the ins and outs and what that invoicing might look like and what questions to ask you to get the correct answer, it'll be beautiful. And then you'll have time to get to where you need to go. So that's just like a little side note about small business and kind of getting out of your own way and asking and delegating the proper things so that you can succeed and move forward. So creating those routines and systems is really important, and especially with the people that work for you. Trusting them or micromanaging, or on the opposite end, micromanaging them is something that is kind of toxic in your own way. Like, you have to let people do their thing so they can do their thing. So I want you to think about today, your kind of homework for this week after watching the podcast is think of a challenge and pick one small thing and commit to being consistent to it for the next week. I want to know what it is. Shoot me a message on social or send me an email, fill out the form on myinnerstruggle.com, whatever. Tell me what it is that you're picking to be consistent with for the next week. And it could be as simple as drinking more water, or making your bed every day, or going for a walk every day, or consistently giving your assistant, more tasks each day, handing off things so that you can get to where you need to go. Focus on the habit and not on the outcome. Focus on the everyday habit, and then you will eventually see better results. Remember, those small actions lead to big wins. I'm so happy that you joined us today. Please, if you can, hit like and subscribe wherever you're listening or watching. If you have a friend that you feel may benefit from that, please share it. I would be eternally grateful. Check out the blog at myinnerstruggle.com. Grab your copy of Is It an Open Bar and sign up for the 5-week course. I am, as always, thinking of you and sending you love, and I will see you soon.